morning and welcome to today's program, The Roundtable. My name is Issa Nu. Today we are going to be discussing a major issue with regards to what is happening in our society today, the issue of unemployment and the essence of skills acquisition. But let me just take you through this snippet, which was a research done by a famous scholar. He said, Nigeria is bedeviled with a myriad of problems, which despite our oil wealth, inhibits our development. Unemployment is one of the developmental problems that face every developing economy in the 21st century, and Nigeria is not an exemption. According to the National Bureau of Statistics 2009 report, the national unemployment rate for Nigeria between 2000 and 2011 showed that the number of unemployed persons constituted 31.1% in 2000, 13.6% in 2001, 12.6% in 2002, 14.8% in 2003, 13.4% in 2004, 11.9% in 2005, 13.7% in 2006. These statistics continue until 2012, when it says that they have 23.9% of unemployment rate in Nigeria. In 2012, unemployment rate in Nigeria increased by 24%. Such wide rate of unemployment was transmitted through various states. Unemployment rate in Akwa Ibom, for instance, is rated to be about 12.3%. These are huge statistics. So it tells us how we've been able to put our youth into effective use for nation development. But then, to discuss this with me this morning is nobody but Dr. Dauda Abdul-Muttalib Gambo. Dr. Dauda Abdul-Muttalib Gambo was born and brought up in Gadabuke village of Toto local government in Nasarawa State. He has a master's in disaster and risk management and then a PhD in agricultural education for Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, master's in agricultural education for Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, and he had also his NC in College of Education Akwanga. He is a lecturer in Ahmadu Bello University. So he'll be here discussing this with us this morning, and we'll go for just a short break, and when we return, we start with the conversation to know what is the stand of Nigeria with regards to unemployment and then the essence of skills acquisition in the country.
Our first efforts at democracy and self-government were abruptly arrested in the mid-60s, largely as a result of the incongenial atmosphere engendered by the uncompromising stance adopted by the political parties of the First Republic. Thus, opportunities were lost for our people to interact and learn to accommodate different points of view for the betterment of the country. We must not allow that episode to repeat itself. The new system that will have adopted presents us with yet another opportunity to achieve national integration, which is a prerequisite for the building of a strong and virile nation.
Welcome back. We went for this break, giving a background of our discussion this morning. And as I did told you, we're having Dr. Dauda Abdul-Muttalib Gambo. Doctor, good morning and welcome to the program, The Roundtable.
Good morning. Noon, Comrade Noon.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for coming. Well, you've been in the field of vocational education for some time, with your background having a doctorate degree in Voc and Tech. What is your take on the unemployment issues that we are having today in Nigeria?
Good. Unemployment, as it is in Nigeria, leaves much to be desired. Reason being that, if you look at the concept unemployment, what is that? Okay. It simply means you have the labor force, who have the experience, They have the skills, they have the knowledge to work, but they are not working. These people are the unemployed people. So if you look at the statistics of unemployment, right from 1991 to date, you see that the situation is so alarming, very, very alarming. The youth today in Nigeria, whether certificated or not, quite a number of them are not working. Recent statistics, 2021, showed that the rate of unemployment in Nigeria is more than 33.3%, which translates to more than 23 million labor force not working. So this situation is something that every well-meaning Nigeria should be bothered about. Because if you have this large number of youths, young people who are not working, if you don't engage them, you expect tragedy. That is youth for you. Because if you look at the definition of who are these youth that are unemployed, according to United Nations, said youth are those individuals who are between 15 to 24 years of age. But African Union said those group who age between 15 to 35. You can see that if you take the two definitions, you will see that these individuals have the physical ability to do the work, they have the strength, but they are not engaged. And as they are not engaged, it means they are sitting idle. And an idle mind is a devil house. Say anything could happen. So this is something that government need to do. Individuals need also to do. The philanthropists also need to do. We must not rely on government crying for unemployment. We have alternative. The alternative is skill acquisition. The government on our own is trying to give youth skills through social development program and all of that. So as a student, if your course is practically oriented, you learn skills while in schools, but the fact is that the skills that are being learned in our Nigerian tertiary institution today are not up to expected.
Okay, if you say so, that the skills that have been learned in our tertiary institutions today are not as needed, or maybe we've not gotten to that point where we can say you give out a graduate and then you take him into a particular industry and you expect him to start immediately. So invariably, trainings are needed sometimes when the student leave the school. So now, in this particular context now, when you talk about skills acquisition, and you know some of these courses we study are not things that are handy, what are the best way we can do, or what are the best things the government need to put in place in our tertiary institutions so that as they are learning, they are also getting skills? I can be a medical doctor and may come out without having that skill of practicing fully. What are the other alternatives? For medicine, sure, they even have the teaching hospitals. What about those that studied biology? What other skills can they do? These are the issues that we need to discuss.
Okay, interesting. The number one step to be taken is to modify or to review the content of our curriculum. Because if you look at the curriculum now in Nigerian tertiary institutions, it's more of theory. It targets only certificating the students. But the skills required by the industry outside are not fully given to these students. So there is need, one, to review this constitution and the curriculum, so that the learning acquisition in our respective institution should be more of skill acquisition. That is one. And secondly, in the school, being it polytechnics, colleges of education, or universities, the government had tried. We have to commend the government by introducing entrepreneurship education in our school system. And that aimed at giving every student that passed through university, college of education, university, polytechnic, skills for self-reliance. But where the bottleneck of this issue is the needed facilities, infrastructures for effective for effective teaching and learning of this course is not well put in place. So the government can put effort more in putting all these things so that the instructors, the facilitators themselves will have good enabling environment to impact the skills to the recipient, who are the learners. And after graduating, the students too should not also relent, because it is expected that 100% of what is learned in our institutions are not practically oriented. As such, when a student graduates, if the course is maybe 50% skill acquisition, he should look for an entrepreneur outside the school setting. Learn it, now merge it with what he has learned. That is more of theory during the school.
Okay. Now, you've raised the issue with regards to those who have formal education, and it is indeed a thing of concern. But in a situation where we are now, Nigeria, you know, we have the formal and then the informal sector.
Yes.
And we see that at the end of the day, even after graduating, our graduates, they move to learn from those that didn't even go to the formal or didn't have a formal education.
Yes.
For those without formal education, what do you think are the necessary skills they need to get if they cannot afford the formal education?
Good. You see, the problem is the beginning. The beginning means that nature had categorized people. Some are educationally inclined. Some are skill acquisition inclined. So if there is a system that will, right from time, study you as an individual, that you cannot perform very well in classroom, that is cognitively, you are not very sound, you should be placed in the right place, which is skill acquisition. So we have skill acquisition centers that these youth can be taken to acquire skills like soap making, welding, and all of that. Even fishery. Recently in Toto local government, there was a program that one college of fishery in Lagos State held in Toto local government. They trained 50 persons on how to raise fish. And after the training, they give them some amount of money to go and start something And the youth quite appreciate the program. They came home, and many of them have started. I was able to interact with some of them. I encouraged them that you must not start with a big farm. Just go and buy a bow, stock in like 20 or 50 fingerlings. Start from there. After the first sale, you increase one bow. After the next sale, you increase another one. Before you know, you have your fish farm. And when you do, you as an individual cannot manage the farm alone. You have to employ security. That is another way of reducing the unemployment. You employ the person that will be feeding the feed for you. You employ people that will be buying feed and all of that for you. So you alone, by the skill you acquired, you effectively put it in practice. You employ like 2, 3. If this man does the same, I do the same, before you know, we reduce the number of unemployment in the society.
Okay. Now, moving forward, you've raised a major issue here, and in terms of reducing the number of unemployment in the society, our youth still complain. Looking at the demography of the youth, they still complain that sometimes they don't get better government support, and also that the business environment is not friendly with regards to inflation. What is your take on this?
Yes, of course, it's true. Nobody can deny that. And you can never dissociate this from what they said, because, you see, the enabling environment to be candid is not there. And the reason is because of the insecurity. First, you can set your farm. Thief can come and steal all that you put in place. That is one. Look at the banditry, the kidnapping of a thing. So what if a farmer is kidnapped? The fish farming stops, because there is nobody to finance the farming again. So the environment actually in this country is not an enabling one to make the business thrive very well. Yes.
So what other measures do you think they need to put in place whenever they are faced with these kind of challenges?
Thank you very much, sir. If you look at it, the atrocities that is being perpetrated today in this country is carried out by youth. Look at the recent Kaduna train attack, when one of the victims was narrating the ordeals through voice calls. He said he saw practically young people who age between 14 to 24. They are the people carrying rifles. This group of people, hadn't been right from time, they give them training, would have reduced drastically the rate of crime in our society. Because I can quote Obafemi Awolowo say that the children of the poor you refuse to train will live to disturb the peace of your children tomorrow. And that is what is happening. So if a child is holding a gun, you give him a book, he drops the gun. And if he drops the gun, he opens the book. When he reads the book, he understands. Before you know, he becomes very important somebody in the society, an agent of development. By the time you take the gun back to him, he will have a second thought before collecting it. So let us keep our youth busy by giving them training. And how do we give them training? The first step is by government scholarship, and the scholarship should be free of competition. Scholarship should be free of nepotism. There should be no selection for scholarship. Any candidate that is qualified, any candidate that is willing to educate, as far as his family is not well-to-do, let government support him or her. Is that taken?
Yes.
And there should also be foundations. You and I can have foundation. If we are going for formal foundations, where we have the registration with maybe CAC, and you have link and connection with donors and other NGOs to support you in serving people to change lives, you can give them training towards that. It mustn't be formal. It can be informal. Like myself now. The little I'm collecting as salary, if I look at my immediate environment, I take a child of a privileged, less privileged parent and orphan, send them to school, pay their school fees. Before you know, they become reasonable people in the society. So these are some of the ways we can put our hands on deck. We must not wait for government to do everything. Government is putting her own effort. Let us also put our own effort to see that these youth are given the required training. By the time they give training, I'm telling you, we are going to reduce to the barest minimum the rate of crime in this country. I want you to understand that there is no society that will be 100% free of crime. But the rate at which this crime occur, the degree of the occurrence vary from one society to the other. So by the time all these trainings are put in place, people are given education, they hardly commit crime. So you cannot dissociate crime from society, but it's going to be inconsequential, highly insignificant. The impact will not be felt if people are given the right training at the right time.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Dauda Abdul-Muttalib Gambo, a lecturer in Ahmadu Bello University Department of Vocational and Technical Education. We are discussing the issue of youth unemployment in Nigeria and how we can use skills to bridge the gap. So Doctor has been giving us all the necessary information and statistics that we need to know so that our youth will become engaged, not just in the formal sector, even in the informal sector. So we'll take a very short break and we'll return back to continue with the discussion. Looking at our students who graduate, what next for them? How will they be able to fit into the society? We'll be discussing that just after the break.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite. This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television Star Times Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back. Still with me in the studio is Dr. Dauda Abdul-Muttalib Gambo. We are still discussing this major issue because every day our youth seems to ask the question, where is the job? But the question now should be, what skills do you have? So Dr. Dauda Abdelmutalib Gambo will give us an inkling of what is expected of students after graduation, after going for the compulsory 1-year service. What should they think of? If they are to go into skills, are there ways they can generate money from it? So, Doctor, welcome back from this break. Now, your stand, you've laid all the parameters, be it for the private and then be it for the government institutions. But then, we still also understand that some of these students you train in your institutions, they graduate, they go for service, 1-year compulsory service, if need be, because there's an age range for that. And then after that, they still come back home, waiting and thinking, how can they go and learn skills when they are graduates? What is your advice to them?
Yes. My advice to these graduates who have left the institution and finished their NYC compulsory, NYC anyway. First is to be at alert, open their ears, looking for job. And when this job is not coming, they should not just relent, waiting for the job. Let them engage themselves in learning skills. It's not bad. After graduating, you are yet to get job. Keep your degree certificate aside. Go and learn tailoring skills, learn fishing skills, learn how to make shoes, bags, and all of that. While you are doing that, while you are learning that, if job comes, you merge the two and go your way. If job does not come, you concentrate and be committed. The problem with our youth is lack of commitment, lack of seriousness, and they don't used to have patience if they are learning these skills. Our problem is we need a training that will yield result immediately. This needs patience. When you embark on a training, you may embark and fail. If you fail, don't give up. Try again. Reason being that failure is not a defeat, but learn how through another method. If you remove the impossibility in your dictionary, any skills on this world, you'll acquire it. Any work on this world, you can do it. But if you have that inferiority tendencies in you that I cannot do it, till tomorrow you will never do it. You will never do it.
Okay.
So let them be focused that yes, what I am going, or the skills I'm going to acquire, I will perfectly acquire it and set up a business to employ others.
Okay. Earlier on, you raised a major issue, and that is the issue of insecurity and how the youth have engaged themselves in committing some of this atrocity.
Yes.
Let me bring you back to the current trend of happenings in Nigeria.
Yes.
The issue of corruption and then the issue of cybercrime. We've seen so many youth of recent being picked by the Economic Financial Crimes Commission.
Yes.
Because they feel they have the skill of knowing how to make use of information technology practice, and then to get money through cybercrime.
Yes.
What is your take on this? When after gaining the skills, you engage yourself, they engage themselves in corruption issue?
Yes. Number one, reason cannot be dissociated from lack of contentment. Lack of contentment. Our youth these days are eager to make it. And if you are so eager to make it, if you are the one that want to go very far, not very well, you fail in life. So my advice to is not how far you go, but how well. So if these students can be patient while acquiring these skills, I don't think all these cybercrime and all of that will come on board. But sir, another thing is, I used to wonder, you see, a student who finished from computer engineering, computer science, and all of that will hack into the bank website, bank, what do you call it, site, to steal money. If such individuals could be identified and government will harness their potentials, engage them, I think they will do better. I used to wonder, this system, this institution, this company have cybersecurity, but a Nigerian student will break through the security and do whatever he wants to do. So that means that if such individual is taken to that institution, he can perform wonderfully. So I'm thinking that these people, these students that have these criminal tendencies, is more often than not is situation that used to take them into this. Maybe they acquire the skills, the money is not forthcoming, and all of that. But, Comrade Issa, this thing cannot also be dissociated from the way the resources in this country is being shared or distributed, to be candid.
So invariably, the leadership of the country also have a great role to play.
Of course, they have a great role, because the resources as it is being controlled, is being harnessed by a few individuals. And those few individuals, you see that it is their children, their generation, and their relatives that are still controlling the resources. The larger majority don't have access to this. And that is part of the problem. That is part of the problem. Consider our security, for instance. I was listening to one documentary from USA. The person was saying, we enlist our personnel and restrain their family. Meaning that once you are enlisted, the medication of your family, the education of the family, the accommodation and all of that will be taken care by the government. And tell me, if such is obtainable, how will a security personnel go to the road and collect bribe of 15 naira? What is going to do with 15 naira? His salary is being paid, and it's not easy his salary to take care of the family. The government has taken care of that. There is much need to be done by government and also by individual. But this is also bow to our mindset, the mindset. Even if the government is not doing 100% up to expected, your mindset should not also mislead you to committing atrocities in the society.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned a very good scenario where we have countries that adopt their own policies and then they put it into good and practicable use in their society. The question now is this. Our government also do have policies. Earlier when you mentioned the issue of the social intervention programs and some other things the government have been doing. And you also talked about the issue of the curriculum, how to better the curriculum in such a way that it will guide the student to be able to get one or two skills before they leave the universities. Then, if that is the case, what should the government now do with regards to saying that, yes, even those that are not attending schools, those that don't have formal education in their villages, how can the government reach out to them when they are far-fetched from urban areas to get all these basic amenities provided by the government?
Good. We are finding it difficult because we don't have system that keep the population data. I didn't mean we have a system that checkmates what we do, where we go, and our activities. It's going to be very easy. Just look at it. In around 2021, it was reported that more than 35% of students who attend primary school, they don't go to secondary school.
More than 35%?
More than 35%. Can you see? So if there is a system that will checkmate that, they don't go to school. Why? Is it that they don't have money to further? What is the reason? If there is a system that will check such attrition, that is dropout, we are going to reduce this. And secondly, the curriculum itself, the stakeholders, those who have stake in education, need to sit and see what they can do on this our curriculum. Because to be candid, the curriculum we are using for the past since our independence, the only review is just a peripheral review. You sit down, maybe you review the teaching methodology, but the content is still unchanged. You cannot bring the learning content that is peculiar to Western nations and expect it we expect the teachers here to perfect it. No. That is why if I have opportunity to speak in public, I advocate for using the second and the first language, which is the mother tongue, to teach this primary school, basic pupils. Use your mother tongue, teach them. Let me give you an example. When we are in secondary school, there is this soil called kaolin. Our agri teacher keep on mentioning kaolin. He explained and described kaolin from beginning to the end. Nobody understands what kaolin is all about. Until a student boldly asks the teacher, "Sir, don't you know the name of this kaolin in Hausa?" He said, "It's Porin Kasa now." He said, "Porin Kasa." Whole student were surprised. Porin Kasa, is it Porin Kasa you take all this time to be explaining? You would have just told us Porin Kasa in Hausa now. So children will learn better if they are taught in the language they understand.
But then, if you look at it critically, Doctor, you know the situation of the country, a country made up of over 200 million with different tribes and ethnicity. Definitely, it would be a very huge tax for the government to provide enough workforce for such issues to be properly managed. Don't you think so?
No, it's not going to be a problem. Categorically, if you look at this nation, it's divided into two. Forget about the northeast, north-south, northeast, northwest, and the north central. It's north and south. And if you look at the north and south, there is majority tribe in the north. There is also majority in the south. People should bury their differences. Forget that if my language is not used in forming the curriculum, is going to be a problem to me, that maybe the language will cease to exist. No. Let us use the language of the wider community. If you consider now, the language of the wider community in the south is Yoruba, and that of the north is Hausa. So if our curriculum could be designed in Hausa, if you say silicon, explain it in Hausa, or translate it to Hausa. If you say camera, translate it to Hausa. You see wonders.
Very soon we'll be discussing more on issues that has to do with this, and then talk more in detail so that Nigerians can understand better why we need to revamp our traditional institutions so that they can help us to gauge the gap in terms of our formal education. Now, still on the same topic, and then we look at a situation whereby every year, just of recent, JAM was written. And, you know, students, because of lack of orientation, they just put in any course, or the course they feel they can perform better in the institution. But at the end of the day, they get to this institution, maybe not studying a course that is practicable. They come out with the same frustration into the society. What should we do? Because at the end of it all boils down to the workforce we are having in the country, the unemployment status we are having in the country. What should we do in guiding them, right from the secondary school down to tertiary institution, before they can come up to the wider society where we can put them in the necessary industries they need?
Yes, it's very easy. Like in my community, we have been achieving that for long. We have a forum called Gadabuke Youth Forum. And annually, we normally visit secondary schools. From the talking we gather, we buy chalk, we buy duster, those teaching aids and all of that, we improvise to these schools. And we used to have a career day where we give them career guidance. And when we go to school, what we do is to interact with the teachers. You are a teacher of SS3. From their previous record, tell us who and who are doing better in science subjects, who and who are more inclined to art, who and who are inclined to this. By the time we fish them out, we call them. You, why do you like chemistry? Our teacher told us you've been performing very well in chemistry. Why do you like it? He will tell you, maybe because my father read chemistry, or I just developed love for it. You understand? So it is based on this interaction, you know where to advise, where to guide these children. At the end of it, they will have good placement. But the issue is, when a child is leaving secondary school, he has chosen to be a science subject. He writes JAM, score 180, which is the minimum point, and the school you graduated, for instance, ABU area, and he applies for maybe plant science, and plant science needed 190 points. They say, by our cutoff in the department, your score is not up to. We will take you to maybe biology, education, or library information science. A student will be forced to go and read what he is not determined to read. That's the beginning of the problem. So wrong placement in Nigerian institution is a problem. It's a problem. If you take sample of the universal system of education, it's not all country that write JAM now. Some country admit their student without writing JAM. It is from their result, secondary school result, they apply the course they want, they admit them into the courses they apply for. But the case of Nigeria, if you apply for this, you'll be given this. So when will you settle to read for such courses that you are not determined to read? That's the problem.
And this contributes to our unemployment in the country.
Of course, sir. Because there are employability skills that are required by the industry. These and these and these are the skills needed for you to acquire before we employ you. So by the time a student is placed to a course that he doesn't like, he will not pay attention, he will be having issues, carry over and all of that. At the end, you will see students who boldly tell you that, please, I don't want to. read this course, I was forced to. Let me give you an instance. This is I started lecturing in that department since 2016. In around 2019, I have a student, a female student, who boldly told me that initially she applied for nursing. She was not given. And now she found herself in agric education. She was just forced to read this course. That she wanted to leave the course. She wants to abscond. I say, no, do not do that. Stay. I didn't mean you have admission at hand from another institution to read nursing, you can go. But since you don't have admission, stay with us. When you finish, you can still go for your nursing. And I'm telling you right away, that student had graduated, served, you understand, and she's now reading nursing in another institution.
So there's still hope?
There is still hope. There is still hope. So I have a case now, presently a 300 level student, also complaining of this wrong placement by our Nigerian universities. She also wanted to read nursing, and she was given agriculture. So she is with us. I'm managing her. She came to my office severally that she wants to abscond. She wants to leave the study. I say, no, you can't leave. If I have the opportunity, I speak with your mother so that you continue. Even if you are not going to use the certificate, keep it. When you finish, go for your nursing. One day, that certificate will be helpful to you. So can you now see? The rate of unemployment actually cannot also be dissociated from wrong placement of courses to students by Nigerian universities.
Okay. On a last note, because we are about rounding up with the program, on a very last note now, can you give us an idea of the skills that Nigerian youth would need for them to be able to fit into the society and then try as much as possible to get themselves employed? Maybe by being an entrepreneur or by being in the sector where they are employed, be it in private or public sector.
Yes. If these youth are graduates, it's of two categories.
Yes.
Non-graduate, that is those who have not attended school, and those who have attended school. If you read course like biology, for instance, the skill that if you acquire, you practice it better, is nothing but fishery. Because while you study lives. Apart from fishery, you can also embark on horticulture. As a biologist graduate, horticulture, you raise flowers. You can also raise vegetables at backyard. These are some of the things a graduate can do, in addition to the certificate he acquired to earn his living. But for those who have not gone to school, they need the government support and your support, as well as my support. Because cognitively, they are not sound. But psychomotor, they are good. They have the ability to acquire the skills. So if they have the ability and you identify them in a society, what you need to do is to help them financially. And when they graduate from the apprenticeship, you also help them with money to buy their equipment. We have been doing that. We have a committee in our village. If you see that this child cannot perform very well in school, we'll liaise with the parent, guardian, or whatever, that please kindly give us this child. We are taking him to go to learn handwork. We take the child to handwork. We negotiate with the master, how much are we going to pay? Is it annual or you pay completely? Depending on the negotiation. we raise money, and we keep eye on the child to make sure that he goes there every day, and he learns what is expected of him to learn.
Okay, thank you so much, Dauda Abdul Muttalib Gambo, a PhD holder in agricultural education in ATBU Zaria. And also, just in 30 seconds, please, Doctor, what is your advice to students who are now sitting at home during this strike? In 30 seconds.
The advice is, if every course has its own sectors where if you graduate, you go to study, you go and work. Okay. My advice to the sitting students, now that strike is on board, is let them go and beg such institutions that they are coming to help them, not coming to do work for pay. They want to come and engage themselves because ASU is on strike. So by so doing, the idle sitting will be taken away.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Dauda Abdul Muttalib Gambo, for giving us these better tips during this week. This is how far we can go for the program. Today we've discussed so much with regards to unemployment, and Dr. Dauda Abdul Muttalib has given us so much information that we need to do. To the students sitting at home, you've heard from him. He has given you advice on where to focus as you are at home. We hope as we call off their strike so that you can all go back home. My name is Issa No. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.